Welcome to the network, the educational podcast designed to help our community navigate the four areas of life that I like to call the funky four corners. I've had the opportunity to interview some of my favorite people with one goal in mind: to help the spiritual, physical, mental, and financial health of our people as we navigate this thing called life. Subscribe to the network. You never know, you might need it.
Hey, we're back. I'm excited about today. Listen, in the words of the great American poet, Carlton Douglas Rittenauer, in case you don't know who that is, most of us know him as Chuck D of Public Enemy. Listen, y'all, he said, our freedom of speech is freedom or death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Listen, y'all, today's guest is the world-renowned African-American and Diaspora Studies Department Chair at Xavier University of Louisiana. We are here to bring you Black history in bite-sized pieces, better known as the funkiest 15 minutes in Black history. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to most of you and introduce to our new audience members, Dr. Sharlene Sinegal-Decuir. Y'all put your hands together for the good doctor.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing? I'm so happy to be back. We have some amazing things that we're going to be talking about today. I don't know if Mike wants to go ahead and introduce what we're going to be talking about, or I could just jump on in.
Jump on in.
Okay, we are going to be looking at the Miseducation of the Negro, which was a book that was written by Carter G. Woodson in 1933, so over 90 years ago. And Carter G. Woodson, if you guys don't know who he is the father of Black history. So he created and started Black History Month in 1926, I believe. It was a week and then it became a month, right? He's also the second African-American person to receive a PhD from Harvard University, and he received his PhD in 1912, and the first Black person, of course, was W.E.B. Du Bois. And so this book, published in 1933, is so incredibly relevant today in 2024. And I've picked it up a couple times. I teach out of it in my class, and as I said, the relevance of this book is spot on, because the same things that happened in 1933 and at the time that Woodson was writing this book is exactly what is happening right now. We have the erasure of African-American history and the contributions of African-Americans to the American experience. That's being taken out of the schools, which we fought so hard to put in the schools, is now being taken out, right? But I usually start my classes when I talk about Carter G. Woodson with a quote from his book, from the preface of his book. And I'm gonna go ahead and read it right now. It's right here on my notes. It says, when you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. You don't have to tell him where to stand or where to yonder. He will find his proper place and he will stay in it. You don't have to send him to the back door. He will go through it without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he will cut one out for the specific benefit because his education makes it necessary. And so this quote, again, powerful quote, strong quote. And basically what he is saying is that education is more than just a transfer of knowledge. Education teaches people, students, African Americans to think. It teaches us to be critical thinkers of our society, of politics, of humanity, to question humanity. Right. And his whole thesis of this book is about 18 chapters, over 200 pages, is that Black people of his day, and I would say even of today, were being culturally indoctrinated to be inferior, to accept an inferior place within society. And it was done through education. Right. It was being taught in the school systems. And if you think even further back, right, if you're looking at, of course, 1896 is when Plessy versus Ferguson came out, separate but equal in all aspects, including education. And because of that, the education system for African Americans, of course, it was never equal. Right. And what we found was that the teachers who were there were teaching the white history education as it was being given to them. And they were not actually going out to look at the people who helped to establish African American history, the people who helped to establish American history who were Black, right? We were not being taught that. We were being taught to be dependent on the white powers for everything, for them to tell us who we were and who we are. And so basically what Carter G. Woodson did was he challenged us to think for ourselves, to do for ourselves, to start self-teaching. And then when he came up with the Black History Week, it was because he wanted to start to reverse some of that indoctrination and to show African American people that we had contributed to society in a meaningful way, and that we could be more than what our place was in society, that we could achieve greatness. And so he went on throughout his book, and in the 18 chapters, he explores and cuts down and chops down every single thing. The first chapter in his book is The Seat of Trouble, and it explains how African Americans were indoctrinated, and how people who were successful at the time were trained to be good Negroes. And when you were a good Negro, you didn't disrupt society. You went along with society. And then he goes on to talk about how we missed the mark with the education system, with, again, the separate but equal, not the school system in general failing to teach us what we needed to learn. And if you think about now with the erasure of African American history in American history, it's going back to the same thing. We're taking out the contributions of African Americans in the American experience. And what we're doing is we're teaching our Black kids that we don't matter, our history don't matter, and that we did not contribute in a meaningful way to the United States of America. That's a huge problem because, again, back to the history, if you look at 1954 with Brown versus Board and the whole psychological tests with the Black and the white baby dolls and the Black kids coming in and you asking who would you want to be and who's the prettiest doll, and everyone's saying the white doll, right? What we're doing is we're re-indoctrinating our kids to be inferior. So we need to teach ourselves. Yes. I said a lot.
You did. I want to say, so I don't forget, that's an episode, the doll studies, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I know about the doll studies, right? As a psychology major that went to an HBCU, I know about the doll studies, but until you brought it up just now, I hadn't thought about it probably in years. So I know that there are people who have no idea about the doll studies.
Yeah.
There's Dr. Kenneth Brown. Is that right?
Clark? And Linda, his wife. I can't remember who it was, but it was a white couple.
Kenneth Clark, maybe? I don't know. It's been that long.
Yeah.
It's been that long. I have to go back and look at it.
Yeah. But, even that, like you said, a whole different episode right there, because that test alone, it actually symbolizes the Eurocentric way of thinking of beauty, of how African American women straighten their hair, of how we always try to fit into society by stripping away our Blackness as much as we could, and so that's a whole different topic. Absolutely, it could be a different show.
Okay, so I have two questions for you. My first question is why? Okay, why? And I'm playing devil's advocate here. The African American population represents approximately 13% of the United States. Why should the United States feel like they should teach education in its entirety? I mean, teach African American history in its entirety. What is the benefit of that?
Well, first of all, I want to say African American history is American history. because we are all Americans. Okay, when they got us and they put us here in 1619 and told us we were not from XYZ tribe and we didn't come from Africa and y'all, stole us, we became Americans just like y'all. I mean, just not to say just like y'all, but just like everyone else who was immigrating in from Europe. We all became Americans and we all contributed to the United States becoming the number one power that it is. And so that is the reason why, because if you're going to teach about George Washington or Abraham Lincoln or whomever else, then you should teach about Carter G. Woodson and, W.B. Du Bois and so on. You should teach about our intellectual thinkers and the people who impacted African-American history and African-American people in general. I mean, we teach about the Holocaust history.
True.
I mean, I know we have Jewish American people and all, and we love everyone. We accept everyone. We're a global society. But if you're going to teach their history, then you have to teach our history. You have to teach everybody's history. You have to teach Mexican history. You have to teach Asian history, because we're all Americans. This is a melting pot. So you
cannot be selective.
You cannot be selective.
Okay. So my second question for you is what? So you talked about critical thinking, right? You talked about the being assimilated. That's not the word you use, but that's the word I wrote in my notes. Being assimilated to inferiority. So what is the danger to those who don't want this history being taught? What is the danger of critical thinking?
Critical thinking causes you to question every single thing. You're going to start questioning politicians. You're going to start questioning your school teacher. You're going to start questioning society. Like I said, you're going to question humanity. And that is the problem. Some people don't want us to question. They just want us to accept. And if you accept, you lose out, right? Because then you have a society of robots that's just doing, the same thing. It's like it's Handmaid's Tale, right? You just do what you're told. You have to be able to question in order to grow. You have to be able to critically analyze in order to grow. And so if you're taking that out, then you might as well just have people, like the Stepford wives in the 50s, husband comes home and everything is done. It's not like that these days. We've moved past that. And we can't go back to that type of generation. We can't go back to that type of thinking. We have to continue to question, because that's the only way that the world, and not just the United States and African Americans, but that the world is going to continue to grow, and that we don't kill each other.
Right. We must continue, in my humble opinion, to have a growth mindset. I don't think you can have a growth mindset and not want to continue to raise critical thinkers. If you say you have a growth mindset, but you're trying to limit the teaching of history, then you are talking out of both sides of your neck. I believe that we are better together. I wholeheartedly believe that diversity is a great thing. I also know that diversity has opponents, that there are people who would be perfectly fine with a homogeneous society that only moves in one direction and thinks one way. However, why would God put us all on this green earth if it wasn't for all of us?
Exactly. We can get together, we can compromise, we can respect each other's opinions, and we can all coexist with our voices being heard. And that's right. The way it should be.
That's right. The one thing that I'm learning as I continue to study and learn and grow is that when you start peeling back layers of almost every culture and society and belief system, they really start to look alike when you start peeling those layers back. When you start peeling those opinions back and you start getting down to some of those foundational beliefs, oh my goodness, those things really start looking alike. Okay, Dr. Sinegal-Decuir, we are just about up on our 15 minutes, but you told me that you wanted to give us a prescription today.
Yes.
So this is what we call good medicine. You will prescribe something for our listening and watching audience that will be life-changing for them. So what do you have for today's good medicine?
I think my good medicine for today is to read and become self-taught. Okay, so everyone says if you put it in a book, you'll hide it for a million years. No one reads. Read, people. Even if you are not reading a book, there are many different platforms for you to get the knowledge and the information. Read Google, even read Wikipedia. I don't care. Just get some of that reading in so that you can know your facts and you can critically analyze and talk to people and state your points clearly. So please read.
That is outstanding. Read and be self-taught, because don't depend on others to teach you what you need to know. Man, yes. Dr. Sinegal-Decuir, this was outstanding. Listen, y'all, this has been the History Quarter with Dr. Sharlene Sinegal-Decuir of Xavier University of Louisiana. Listen, if you are listening to the audio podcast or if you're watching on YouTube, I need you to hit that like and subscribe button. If you are only listening by podcast, be sure to go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, then tell a friend to tell a friend. Follow the network with Michael Prejean on Instagram, Facebook, and wherever else you can find me. _network_podcast on Instagram, the network with Michael Prejean on Facebook. Always check the show notes for good medicine and the advice that you didn't ask for, but we always give it to you anyway. Listen, this is the network. We are the free educational podcast designed to help the physical, mental, spiritual, and financial health of our people as we navigate this thing called life. Subscribe to the network because you never know, you might need it. Signing off, I'm Michael Prejean for Dr. Sharlene Sinegal-Decuir. Until next time, I need y'all to do 2 things. Number 1, fight the power. And number 2, make love the culture. Until next time, y'all.
Till next time.